Blockchain is expected to change the way we do everything that involves two or more parties in the process of buying and selling, and as a consequence has implications for tracking and logistics. But how can blockchain help in the business of commodities in Africa? Block Commodities, formerly African Potash, is a NEX exchange-quoted company which is focused on potash production in the Republic of Congo. Chris Cleverly is Executive Chairman and he joins us now with more. Chris, welcome. Interesting story. Anything blockchain is good to talk about at the moment. Why change the name, first of all, from African Potash, which is how you make money, to a company that maybe no one would recognise?
Well, no, African Potash was really built around the fact that we had a concession. Mining concession in Republic of Congo. It's a very good concession, but as it stands, it's still not an unexploited concession. We, over the period of time, tried to build a vertical integrated fertiliser business, because obviously potash is used for fertiliser alongside nitrogen and alongside phosphates as well. And so what we did was we realised that by selling directly to farmers and smallholder farmers within Africa, we could suddenly engage with an absolutely huge unexploited market of potential customers for fertiliser. And eventually, when potash came on stream in the Republic of Congo, we could bring that commodity out. So Block Commodities was formed out of the fact that we realised that by using the blockchain, by actually being able to engage in a system which was a closed market system, which was also held on to the facets of being unexploitable by corruption, being unusable by middle parties, and actually joining together two people in a discrete and permissible contract, it allowed us, the great advantage of actually now being able to trade in Africa with lower interest rates directly to farmers who actually we could then lend the money to using cryptos.
Okay, so you've now set up the blockchain and you are using that with your clients?
So we've now set up, and what we've just announced in the last week or so, is we've now announced that we've done an agreement with a group that are doing not only blockchain but are a big exchange group called GMEX, who actually built the index that we're on at the moment, NEX. The team were part of that. But also alongside Walla, which is a finance group within Africa, South Africa and Uganda, where we'll be launching it. But they're a microfinance institution already lending to people at the bottom end of the wealth pyramid. And it's those people that we're going to be providing cryptos and blockchain facilities to.
You will be, or you are now?
So we're in the process of doing that. We've only just announced we've done the agreement, so you've got to give us a few weeks to get out there and start.
So it is a matter of weeks, is it?
Yeah, so we'll be out there in the next few weeks. We'll be sitting down engaging with nearly 50,000 farmers. And we'll be talking to the groups who are supporters in it. We'll be building the system together. It involves the engagement with the global fertiliser companies and the engagement with global food producers. So essentially what happens is we lend money via the blockchain in the form of tokens to the farmers, the smallholder farmer. The smallholder farmer then buys fertiliser from us. With the lending that we give them is with an interest rate margin that we take. We also take a margin as well when we sell fertiliser, but the interest margin that we take is we're lending out at about 12% to the farmer, but at the present time the farmer's borrowing at around about 40%. So it's a huge advantage to them, and it's a huge advantage to us because now we can give them the fertilisers they've not been able to afford in the past. We then get that fertiliser from a global provider on a long-term letter of credit.
Okay, you mentioned token. I was going to ask which cryptos are you using here. So this is a token which is specific to your business and your clients?
No, so what we've done is, there's a lot of turmoil at the moment as to what are the right cryptos, what are the right tokens, what are the right terminology. Essentially, they all become used in the same sort of terminology, but essentially we are borrowing tokens ourselves at a lower rate of interest to create a margin. Those are existing tokens that have already gone through regulation, and they've already gone through the right probity, and they're used by a microfinance company within Africa already. So they're African specific.
Okay, so your clients are ready to use this? I mean, the blockchain is not yet in its current form, I don't think, ready to roll out globally. Why is Africa such a good place to trial this?
Well, when you look at things like mobile banking, and you compare mobile banking in Africa to mobile banking in America, you think that America was going to be the first world solution. But in fact, something like M-Pesa, which is a mobile banking solution in Kenya, it has more users than any other bank in Kenya. So there's a huge uptake in technology where there are no legacy existing technology solutions. So, since there are no real banks really penetrating Africa at the present time, especially at the level that we're talking about, they are ready for a solution like this because they have huge smartphone uptake. And that's the thing that people forget about Africa, is that it uses technology where we wouldn't normally because we have existing technology.
Yeah, things like scalability, accountability, diversifying power, all these words crop up when discussing blockchain. Are you going to be able to take full advantage of the blockchain technology with the commodity you're moving around?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, the key to the structure that I've just described is this, is that we're already working within a structure that had digital payment systems. Mm-hmm. So traditionally, the payment system used by governments such as Zambia to buy fertilizer was an e-voucher, a digital payment system. The system that was used by the buyers of the fertilizer was a warehouse receipt system, another digital payment system. So we just replaced digital payment systems with digital currencies that we're able to use as almost like a bridge financing solution between between the buyer and the seller of the fertilizer and the buyer of the commodities. In doing so, we've managed to secure for ourselves $10 million worth of cryptos at 3.5%. So it's almost like a bridging loan for the company. And the company of our size, which is market cap of about 2.2 million at the present time, that's a huge story. Plus, because it's very new technology, they're granting us, so that's non-dilutive, granting us against milestones a further 500,000 of their currency. So a huge opportunity for us.
What about regulation? You mentioned it very briefly.
Yeah.
Is block commodities regulated? Are you regulated as a company to operate this?
We're obviously regulated because we're on an exchange, so we have to abide by rules. In terms of a currency such as this, there is no regulation so far as what we are doing. And there wouldn't need to be, because all we're doing is we're using it as a token. I mean, the way I described it to my mother was that it's a bit like giving out Green Shield stamps. So if you think about Green Shield stamps, they're loyalty cards with a fungibility to buy and purchase things.
Yeah. Where do you see this going? I mean, how long is it going to take you to roll out, first of all? And where do you see this going? Where are you going to be in a year's time? What's the plan?
It's very hard to go and jump into the future and say that it's going to be this number or that number. But one thing you can say is that there is a huge gap here. When you've got farmers who are trying to buy fertilizer at double the normal price, which is what happens in Africa because of the middlemen, paying 40% interest at bank rate in Zambia, so let's say it's 80% for them, and then suddenly you to give them a possibility of actually paying a fair price for their fertilizer at a fair rate of interest, then you're going to create a huge sea change, which is you're going to see huge amounts of growth in terms of agriculture in Africa as a result of it. So whether it's us or other people that follow on and do this, and we are the first off the block, so I imagine it will be us. It's going to be a big change for Africa and for us.
I was going to ask you, why hasn't Randgold Resources done this big in Mali? Why hasn't all the larger players within the mining space that have a big hold on many of the other more well-known commodities, why haven't they started this? Why is it up to you as a small cap company to begin rolling this out?
You know, Jeremy, I think with all these things, it's always about the person who does it first is usually an incubator type situation. So we've always been about innovating in this space between the farmer and the minerals that are needed in his soil. Yeah. So we've been looking at this for a long time. We've been trying to work within the existing model, which was one involving e-vouchers, but the government's never loaded the e-vouchers. There was too much difficulty in terms of the middlemen. So this allows us to, we were looking for a solution. And we were very lucky the solution came. So the blockchain provides us with a way of actually doing what we always tried to do.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, it'd be interesting to see how this continues to roll out.
I look forward to it. I look forward to coming back and telling you how it went.
All right, Chris, thanks so much indeed. It's an interesting story. Chris Cleverly is the Executive Chairman of Block Commodities, formerly African Potash. Subscribe to IG for educational content, company insight, financial analysis and expert commentary.